Hey, it's Joe, and welcome back to Humanfluence. Let's talk about one of the most universally recognized commandments. Thou shalt not kill. It seems simple, clear, and absolute. But like many things in sacred texts, the deeper you look, the more contradictions and complexities emerge. Just one page later, the same scriptures give specific instances where killing is not only permitted, but commanded. What are we supposed to make of this? Is it a contradiction, or is there something deeper going on here? At first glance, this seems like blatant hypocrisy. How can a divine commandment prohibit killing and then, in the next breath, outline when and how to kill? I believe the commandment isn't just about physical death. It also speaks to the death of the soul, the spirit, or the higher self. Killing the physical versus killing the soul. In our modern interpretation, we associate killing with the physical act of taking a life. But ancient teachings often operate on multiple levels: the literal, the symbolic, and the spiritual. The physical act of killing someone is obvious. It's the destruction of the body. But what about killing the soul? Killing someone's essence, their light, their purpose. What about the ways we destroy ourselves internally? Every time we act out of hatred, judgment, or greed, we contribute to the death of the spirit, our own or someone else's. Every time we belittle someone, strip away their dignity, or make them feel less than who they are, we kill a part of their soul. And every time we allow ourselves to be consumed by fear, guilt, or shame, we chip away at our own divine spark. The prohibition against killing isn't just about refraining from physical violence. It's about not killing the divine potential within ourselves or others. It's about protecting the sanctity of the soul. One of the most striking contradictions comes in Exodus 20:13. Thou shalt not kill. It's a clear and seemingly non-negotiable commandment. Yet just one chapter later in Exodus 21, verses 12 through 14, we see instructions for capital punishment. Anyone who strikes a man and kills him shall surely be put to death. However, if he does not do it intentionally, but God lets it happen, he is to flee to a place I will designate. The very law against killing now carries exceptions, with rules on when killing is justified. In Samuel 15, verse 3, where God commands Saul, "Now go and strike Amalek and devote to destruction all that they have. Do not spare them, but kill both man and woman, child and infant, ox and sheep, camel and donkey." How do we reconcile with the commandment against killing? It forces us to question whether these acts are meant to be understood literally or symbolically. These contradictions extend to other instances, like the laws of war in Deuteronomy, where specific instructions are given to annihilate certain populations. Are these sanctioned killings, or do they point to a deeper metaphorical lesson about eliminating destructive forces within ourselves and our societies? So why then do the same texts that prohibit killing give specific instructions on when and how to do so? Perhaps it's meant to push us to think critically, a reminder that spiritual teachings are not black and white. They are nuanced, layered, and often paradoxical. In the context of these ancient writings, killing often represents more than just a physical act. The sanctioned killings in these texts might symbolize the elimination of destructive forces within us that harm the soul. Anger, pride, envy, ignorance. These are the things we are called to kill, to protect and nurture the light within us. But there's a danger here. Many have misinterpreted these teachings to justify violence, war, and oppression. They've used Scripture as a weapon rather than a guide. This is where discernment becomes critical. We have to ask ourselves, is this teaching calling us to kill in the literal sense, or is it speaking to the spiritual battle within? I think you know the answer. If we take this concept inward, it becomes clear that the act of killing is most often directed at the ego. the part that clings to separation, judgment, and fear, the voice that says, I am better than you, or I am not enough. To kill the ego is to transcend the limitations of the self and connect with something greater. Easier said than done. The ego resists death at every turn, clings to its identity, its desires, its fears. To kill the ego is to confront the parts of ourselves we'd rather ignore, the anger, jealousy, and insecurity. Painful yet necessary. Only by confronting and transforming these aspects of ourselves can we awaken to our higher potential. So what does this mean for us today? In a world filled with division, violence, and fear, the commandment, thou shalt not kill, takes on a new urgency. It's not enough to avoid physical violence. We must also stop killing the soul, both in ourselves and in others. We must stop the cycles of judgment, hatred, and indifference that slowly erode the human spirit. This doesn't mean passivity. It doesn't mean ignoring the evils of the world, but it does mean approaching them with a higher perspective. Instead of fighting fire with fire, we are called to fight darkness with light, to kill ignorance with understanding, to kill hatred with compassion, to kill division with unity. So the true meaning of thou shalt not kill is a call to protect life in all its forms, not just the physical, but the spiritual. A reminder that every act of hatred or judgment is an act of killing, and every act of love and compassion is an act of creation. When you read these sacred texts, please don't take them literally. Of course, we do not want to kill people physically, but look deeper, question their contradictions, reflect on their symbolism, and above all, ask yourself, am I nurturing life or am I contributing to death? The choice is always yours, to kill or to create, to destroy or to heal. And that choice defines not just who we are, but the world we leave behind. Humanfluence, out.